Good afternoon. It's Friday. It's Friday, yay. So hope you're all still so safe and well on this on this Friday. Again, giving you some photography and video tips. I wanted to talk about holding your camera steady, the ways that you can hold your camera steady. So, the first one that most people use, obviously this is my phone. I've got my mobile phone here. Excuse me. They hold it with their hands. And of course that's not very stable. If you're kind of holding it with one hand, it can rock around like this. So one way to hold it steady is to hold it like that, and I've got my elbow balanced on the table. That means then that's a lot more stable, so it's only got that way to go, maybe a little bit like that, and I'm holding this with the other upright hand with my other hand, making that even more stable. So that's one way. You can then, obviously, you've got control over it, where you want to move it. And that keeps it steady, particularly if you're doing like a pan shot or something like that, you can do that. And that's a lot more stable. Excuse me, I've obviously got a frog in my throat today. So the next thing, I'm sure most of you are familiar with this is a selfie stick. So I'm just going to try and put that in there very quickly for you. So of course, that then gives you the freedom to move it around as you want, which helps obviously keep it stable, so it's not kind of doing all this all the time unless you make it do that. So that's the second option that's quite good. And obviously, being a selfie stick, you can then obviously extend it. But consider, the longer you have your selfie pole, the more the camera weight will make this top heavy. So the longer it is, see, this is coming out to full extension now, you can see right along here. That's then going to make that very unwieldy and very unstable. So I wouldn't recommend that for anything too kind of important, because you won't get your stable shot. There are gimbals around that you can get for some cameras. I haven't got one at the moment. I've got one for the GoPro, but I haven't got one for anything else. So you could look at a gimbal for your iPhone, if there's such a thing exists. I'm not sure on that. Now, the next thing to talk about is this. So a mini tripod. You can put your phone sideways in here, like that, and then that balances on the table. Now, depending on which type you get, these legs bend. So you can get it down at ground level if you want to. And of course, being a tripod means three, obviously, and that means it's got three legs, so you can put that on the floor and it's quite stable. I'm going to straighten that out again and try just balancing it here to see what that looks like. You can't quite see it, but say it's on the floor, it'd be like that, so balanced on the ground like that. So that, of course, is more stable. This is, I would say, just a little bit unstable, because it's the head can wobble around, so you need to be careful which ones you get. There are ones called Gorilla ones, which have got the legs have kind of got bobbles, and they can be wrapped around posts, and they can be wrapped around all sorts of railings and things like that, so you can get some really quite unusual shots. So then the next thing we talk about is a tripod. Here's one I dug out earlier. So this one is I got this from, where did I get it from? PC World, I think. So it's a general one, about 30 quid. So it's got lots of different options on it. The most important one, this is not for your iPhones, this is for your DSLR or whatever. It's got a bracket that screws into the bottom of your camera, and then that clips into, not doing this very well, there we go, that way. That clips into there. Let me just try and do that for you. You can see it, there's a little pull thing here. So you pull that, and that hopefully, there you go. So that goes in. So that your camera would now be on your tripod. And then from there, there's lots of different options. There's an option here, which means you can turn your camera to portrait mode, and then you can fold that back down. When you're doing that, be careful, because it can make it a little bit unstable. So just kind of, when you're doing it, just be careful. Lock that down. Obviously there's the legs. I'm not going to extend these, but these have got a double extension on them. Just you open it with a clip like that, which is obviously quite easy to do, particularly when you're in a hurry. Then what you have is a little a screw here. So you unscrew that, and you can then screw this up and then obviously down like that. Again, be careful not to screw it too high up because it'll make it unstable. And if you do that, you'll need to put a weight on your cross legs at the bottom, these crossbars here. Even if it's just your foot, just to make sure it doesn't get blown over in the wind or something like that. So then the last option for this is the handle. This is a one specifically for video, and it's got a very smooth movement, so you can go up and down very easily, and it's almost like it floats. So I have it on a very light tightness when I shoot, so I can move it easily, and it can move this way and it can move all over. So you just have to get into the practice of doing that effectively. So that's, oh, I forgot to mention there's a bubble on it. So I don't know if you can see that. There's a green bubble. So when you're setting your video tripod up, make sure that bubble is in the center, because then that means your tripod is horizontal. So then you can put your camera on and it should be horizontal. If it's not, then you just alter the legs to make it sure it's level. One other thing you can do with this is, we talked about this in a previous video. You can put a rig on for your phone, so you can still use this for your iPhone or your smartphone, but you put a rig on that holds an iPhone, or you can get ones that hold iPads. So that's that. And then of course we talk about us as the person, us as the tripod. We talked about holding a hand like that, but if you're, say, for instance, using a big camera, I've got a big camera here. Now I've seen so many people do this. They hold their lens like this. This is just so unstable, because look, it's like this. It's all over the place. So the first thing you do is you bring your elbows into your ribs. Now that obviously makes your arms a lot more steady. You can then hold it quite easy, and your hands are out in front of you. So from kind of rib height, just put them out in front of you. Hold your camera and put your hand underneath the lens. This is how you should hold a camera, a DSLR camera, because it holds the weight of the lens and it holds the weight of the camera, and it makes it safer. So you bring your arms in, hold your camera, so you do your shot. So you breathe in, you press your shutter to get the focus, and as you're pressing the shutter, you breathe out very gently, so that you don't get a jerk when you kind of do your shot. So breathing is more important than a lot of people realise. Then, particularly if you're doing something in a very tight situation, you want more stability, you can lean against a wall. So lean against the wall, put your camera against the wall as well. Breathe in, press the shutter down halfway to focus, and then very gently breathe out as you press the shutter. That will keep your work a lot more steady. Now, of course, whilst you're out in nature, you may not have a tripod, you may not have anything with you, so you can use what's around you. You can balance it against a stone, you can balance it against a wall, or anything that is stable will keep your camera, whatever type of camera it is, more stable, and help make your videos and your photography a lot more, obviously, stable, and makes it better to watch. So I hope that's given you a few tips. Anything else you want to ask, just drop me a line. Take care. Bye.